This is the Homtom HT10. Homtom is a subsidiary of the larger phone company Doji. The brand has only been around since October 2015, and since then they have released 11 smartphones. The HT10 is part of their Series B line of phones, which are aimed towards business users. One of the reasons why this is being marketed as a business phone is because of the iris scanning technology built inside this phone. The Helio X20 processor, alongside the 3200 mAh battery, results in a phone that claims to be a complete powerhouse for productivity. Taking a look around the phone, on the back you have your 21 megapixel camera, the LED flash and the rear facing microphone. The top houses the 3.5mm headphone jack, whilst the right side has the power button alongside the volume rocker. The left side is completely bare, whilst the front houses the capacitive buttons for home, menu and back, alongside the front facing camera, the earpiece, the proximity sensor and two LEDs required for the iris scanning functionality. The bottom of the phone houses the micro USB port, the mono speaker situated in the right grille, along with the microphone. The phone comes with an incredibly heavy skin from Homtom called Fire, and this does get a bit annoying as it's trying to mimic the look of an iPhone, but the icons it's using are incredibly bulky. Even with the slimmest back on, the HT10 is a whole 1.8mm thicker than the iPhone 6s. This does become noticeable, especially if you're using the wood grain-like case included inside the box. Without a case, the iPhone is just too slippery, but with the HT10 I've had no such problems. Although for some strange reason I like the more substantial feel of the HT10 compared to my iPhone 6s. Even with the added 22 grams of weight, there is actually very little difference in how these feel in hand. I didn't really like the iPhone S feel of the Fire skin that Homtom has put on the HT10, so I did replace it with the Google Now launcher, which is a lot cleaner, and even though I do use an iPhone on a daily basis, on Android I prefer that. There were some pre-installed apps which were in Chinese, so unfortunately I couldn't understand them, but I did go ahead and uninstall them. For some reason one of these applications was messing with the notification panel, so I was glad to see that gone. The Helio X20 inside is an incredibly powerful processor. The application that I usually use to test this out is Asphalt 8. This is because it's an incredibly high powered game which requires a lot of processing power, although many devices lack the performance to run this game incredibly smoothly. The HT10 was an incredibly pleasant surprise. Playing the game was a pleasure. Asphalt 8 was buttery smooth on the HT10 and only occasionally there was the missed frame, but the deca-core processor did a fantastic job of handling the graphics. To date I don't think I've used another Android device that has provided such a buttery experience like the HT10. The phone flew through the rest of the operating system. There was no stutter, no lag anywhere throughout the month and a half that I've been using this. I wanted to give it a good testing because I have used some Chinese phones which haven't done so well, but this, it's just on another level. But on the other hand, the speakers are an absolute disappointment. They get quite loud, but they're fairly tinny, and so you wouldn't really want to be using them whilst playing games or watching a movie, because you'll just feel that the phone speakers don't match with the display or the performance. Talking about the display, the panel used is a 2.5D 5.5 inch 1080p display from Sharp. In my opinion, the colour saturation on the HT10 is incredibly good. This is because it's very similar to the iPhones and not like the oversaturated displays from Samsung. The next thing that I want to talk about is battery life. Standby times on this phone are just amazing. In a 24-hour period you'd maybe lose about 3 to 4%, which is phenomenal compared to even the iPhone, but in terms of using it on a day-to-day basis, you can get pretty heavy usage out of this phone. I was able to use it throughout the entire day with mixed usage and then still have about 25% left at the end of the day. But on the more lighter days I was able to get through to the evening with about 50%, which means that you can even carry on till the next day and not have to charge it. There are some battery draining features such as the iris scanning, which does require a lot more power than just entering your password, alongside the LED notification light, which is pretty constant. For the road warriors, this is probably perfect, as you're able to remove the battery and swap it in with a fresh one that's fully charged without having to wait for it to charge completely. The deca-core processor inside probably has some part to play in the extended battery life of the HT10. But somewhere where the processor can't help is the camera. Photos coming out of the sensor look pretty washed out. They all have like a white tint to them, which is very strange. Focusing was also a bit of a hit and miss. Whilst the autofocus was pretty sharp and quick, the manual focus did take a bit of time, around a second, to actually come into play. Same with the shutter speed, it takes an absolute eternity to save a picture before you're able to take another one. HDR mode wasn't much better, it made the pictures look even more washed out and out of focus. But Homtom have managed to hit the nail on the head with the front facing camera. The front facing camera is something the back facing camera should have been. It has sharp and accurate focus along with a really fast shutter speed. And from an arm's distance I'm able to get a lot into the shot. I just hope Homtom can maybe incorporate some of the great features from the front facing camera in the back facing camera next time round. There was a strange green and pink tinge on the photos that were taken in my bedroom when the light was on. I think this might be something to do with the way my light flickers and how the camera picks it up, but overall I don't think this should be an issue which is widespread. I really like the fact that you have all of your settings within the camera app and you don't have to go into a separate menu to be able to access these. All the settings for the photos and videos are a single tap away when you need them, and when you don't need them, they are obstructing your way. I appreciate the fact that Homtom hasn't made their own versions of the apps that Google already pre-installs on the phone, so you don't have duplicates of apps or weirdly skinned ones. The last thing I want to talk about in this review is the iris scanning technology. Although the idea of securing your phone with your eyes is a pretty neat idea, in practicality it isn't so true. Unlike a conventional fingerprint scanner, you aren't able to unlock this from whichever direction you're holding the phone in. Your eyes do have to be in a 30-degree radius of the front-facing camera when you're trying to unlock the phone. And when you do try and unlock your phone using the iris scanner, you are presented with a bright red LED in your eyes. This can get very annoying when trying to unlock the phone at night where you don't want a bright LED shining in your face. So after a couple of uses, this does become a bit cumbersome. I mean, if it was used in conjunction with the fingerprint scanner, then I guess the security identification would be really good, but having the option of just using an iris scanner isn't perfect right now. But if you do store a lot of confidential data on your smartphone, maybe this is perfect for you. This is down to the fact that your fingerprints can be cloned, while your iris cannot be. Overall, the phone has really surprised me. It's been a mixed bag really, with a really powerful processor inside, but the speakers and camera making the media experience a little bit less than ideal. But overall, if you're looking to buy this phone and you're really worried about your security and that your fingerprints might be copied, then maybe the iris scanning technology inside the HT10 is perfect for you.